As the economic outlook worsens, charities say the demand for their help, including daily groceries, has hit new highs. But one Australian bank is making a big difference, although it's not your typical lending institution. Foodbank was set up more than a decade ago, linking farmers and food processors with families in need. And with more than 16 million kilograms of food distributed in the past year, it's the one bank where goodwill is paying big dividends.
At the moment, we're around about 900 people a week we'd see in this one car park. Last year we would have seen 600, so we've had that's a 1/3 increase in 12 months, and I fully expect within the next 12 months I will see 12 to 1,500 people a week in this one car park.
It's a Tuesday night in inner city Brisbane and the queue for food is growing.
Yes, thank you.
Tomato?
No, it's right. I'm fine, thanks. That's all.
Margarine?
No, I'm fine. That's it. I've got plenty of things. Thank you.
Cool.
They come every night like this, do they? Yeah.
Most of it, yeah.
Round
6:30, most people start getting here. We're here at 7.
There's a recession out there, I can tell you.
Here, free dinners and food parcels were once the domain of the destitute, but new faces are now joining the line.
We've always traditionally had people, with drug addictions and alcohol addictions, or people that have landed up because they lost their job or mental problems. But lately, as you've seen tonight, there's a whole new group of people coming that just can't make it. They're people that you wouldn't expect to see on the street. It's just that things are so tight.
Pastor John Dowell has been feeding the hungry in Brisbane for almost a decade. But he says without one special not-for-profit company, this service wouldn't exist.
I can't meet it, but with Foodbank I can. Foodbank Queensland has been right behind this initiative, and they supply, I would say, 100% of the food and produce that you see here tonight. And they do that week after week after week.
Foodbank works by linking donated produce from farmers and food processors with frontline charities. It's the largest hunger relief organisation in Australia, with more than 2,500 welfare groups relying on their goods.
20% of all food that's produced in this country is wasted. Much of that food is edible and fit for human consumption. Unfortunately, it ends up as landfill, and that's just environmental stupidity. So Foodbank's role is to try and get as much of that food as possible to channel it to those people in need.
Ken McMillan heads Foodbank's operations in Queensland.
10% of all Australians live below the poverty line. That's 2 million Australians are doing it real tough. Half of them, unfortunately, are children. And we know for a fact that 1 million children go without a meal every day, which in a country like Australia is, I find, appalling.
Oh, lovely.
16 million kilograms of donated food and groceries made its way to Foodbank last year. Those on the front line say they couldn't meet the need without it.
Last year we would have been doing anything from 50 to 100 parcels a week for food, and now that's jumped to 150 to 200 and probably beyond that later this year. But the fact that we're able to come to Foodbank and supplement what we buy at the markets with our free fruit and vegetables that they supply here, it's just invaluable to us, and we're so grateful for the fact that we can come and do that, because without it I don't know what we'd do.
I get a really good response because people are very grateful for what they can get, because sometimes they can't get to town very often, and it just puts extra things in the pantry for them.
Much of Foodbank's success rests on people like John Potter. He's retired now after more than 40 years at the Brisbane markets and acts as a conduit between his old workplace and Foodbank, urging wholesalers to get involved.
If Foodbank wasn't there, most of this produce would go to landfill and the merchants would be paying to dump the produce. And so therefore it's a win-win situation for Foodbank and for the merchants and for the grower as well.
And many farmers have taken up the call too. In Queensland, 2.5 million kilograms of fruit and vegetables have been donated over the past year, including truckloads of bananas from the state's far north. The Mackay family grow bananas near Tully. In 2006, Cyclone Larry decimated their crop, but it was this natural disaster that introduced them to the charity.
The banana prices went quite high, and we still had a few bananas that were unsaleable on the market, and yeah, Foodbank seemed like a very worthy cause, and we started at that time to send a few cartons of bananas to Foodbank in Brisbane, and we've just continued.
Since then, 12,000 cartons destined for Foodbank have left the Mackay's packing shed, and they've supplied extra fruit interstate during times of need.
During the bushfire season, we actually only supply bananas to Queensland Foodbank, but we actually supplied extra bananas to Victoria as well during that bushfire time. It makes you feel, you know, part of the disaster plan sort of thing, I guess. So, yeah, it's quite an insignificant thing for us to do, but hopefully it helps a lot of people.
Further south in Queensland's Darling Downs, farmers there are giving their bit as well. Anthony Starts manages Koala Farms, where they grow lettuce, broccoli, cauliflowers and cabbage.
Traditionally we've had a lot of waste product and that we feed to cattle and things like that, so we thought it was a better use if we could get it into Foodbank and help a few hungry people. There's a need there and it's a shame to see the product go to waste, so we'd much prefer to see people in need to get it than to feed it to the cows or see it rot.
He says a lot of their surplus veggies are making their way into Foodbank parcels.
Our company would donate about 200,000 head of broccoli a year, and that obviously makes us feel pretty good, and the people that work for us as well get a lot of benefit from that, knowing that they're doing something to try and help out.
Foodbank is now appealing for more farmers to get involved. The charity says donated produce is tax deductible and free freight is available.
We do about 40 tonne of food here a day, and about a third of that is produce. We have unlimited potential. You know, we could get away with 10 times that amount. But we're specifically chasing produce because the people that we're feeding need nutritional support. And there's nothing better than fresh produce, absolutely nothing. So we make that appeal to farmers that when you have knockouts, when you have seconds, when you have stuff in your packing sheds, that you give us a call and give us the chance to pick it up and we'll pass it on to someone in need on your behalf.
Trucking companies are also stepping up to the plate. Lindsay Transport has been providing free freight from farms and factories to Foodbank's central operations.
Some of the days we might do 100 tonne out of capital cities, out of our fruit growing areas, anywhere between 30 to 40 tonne a week.
And Foodbank's footprint is growing. For the first time, grain farmers in Western Australia are donating directly to the charity.
How much would you like to donate for that?
During the last wheat harvest, WA farmers gave 800 tonnes of their crop to Foodbank.
Growers are traditionally a very charitable bunch. This is the first year that we've run the program, and I think we're taking a very long-term view of it, and we think that growers will continue to support it on an ongoing basis.
CBH's Matthew Rutter kick-started the idea and is now trying to form partnerships with other food manufacturers. He says the big picture is to make breakfast cereals from the donated grain.
Ultimately, we'd like to see on an annual basis a couple of thousand tonnes of grain delivered, which we can then link in with Foodbank strategic food processing partnerships to hopefully turn 1 tonne of grain into 1 tonne of food.
Foodbank showing it's one bank where goodwill pays big dividends.
I've been out with some of the charities to see the work that they're doing. And this is an extremely rewarding job. When you go to the schools in the morning and you see the kids have banana on toast, for example, and their little eyes light up, it's just so wonderful. Or you go out in the streets at night with the homeless people, and again you'll see them take some of the fruit and veggies home and put it in their pocket so they've got a meal for the following day. just wonderful. You know, saving lives is just the most rewarding thing you can help in this world. It's just great.
Back in the Brisbane car park, Pastor John says he's enormously grateful for the support.
There are a lot of farmers support Foodbank, and you've seen the produce that's been there tonight. And to those guys, well, I give a heartfelt thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much.